Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, beautiful soul family, and welcome to Weekly Wisdom and Insights, your home for spiritually guided transformation and empowerment. I am your host, Dearjames, and together with the unseen, Spirit, Source, and Symphony, we look at the current energies, the intuitive insights and wisdom, and we go as guided. And as we are approaching mid-month of December 2024 and closing out the year and getting ready to commence the new year of 2025, we have some beautifully powerful energies and a beautifully powerful theme. And so I just want to jump right into the actual main energies that we're working with, because as you will see, powerful numbers, 12, 11, 8, and 22. And 12 is about standstill, release, like letting go, releasing the past. The 11, peace, relax. 8, uniting, unite, coming together. And 22, which was really on point for our overall main theme, this grace, adorning, and to accept. And I just want to go through what these numbers mean. So number 12 is a number of completeness, wholeness, and divine order, God's authority and governance over creation. 11 is the most intuitive master number. And it has to do with connecting with your higher purpose and awaken your spiritual self. And it's about trusting your intuition. And you're going to see how this connecting to your higher purpose and awakening your spiritual self, which of course is your soul self. The number 8 represents the balance between the material and the spiritual worlds. It's associated with authority, power, and leadership. And then number 22 is the most powerful master number. So in the energies that we're working with that are going to support us in this main theme, we have the most intuitive master number and we have the most powerful master number. And 22, just to conclude, represents strength and resilience, challenge into opportunity, balance and harmony, and manifestation, turning your dreams into reality. Welcome, Alicia. Welcome, Olivia. Welcome, Deborah. And so what's really masterful about this and what was so striking to me is as we reach the main theme, what the unseen is saying to us and the power of the numbers is we have the most intuitive aspect of ourselves. And when we listen to it and we align with it and we utilize it, we harmonize with it, we have the most powerful master number. We become the most powerful. It's our authentic self, our soul self, that is the most powerful. And in order to reach that, we must listen to our intuition, to our soul source connection. And so let's move right into our main theme. It is reflection, the courage to be who I am inside. And it's also coinciding with rabbit medicine. and this beautiful reflection. And this is an image of the lotus. And what's so beautiful, the lotus is a symbol of purity, the ability to overcome adversity and challenges. And really, challenges are opportunity. And they also symbolize, the lotus also symbolizes creation and rebirth. It's known as a sun symbol because at nightfall, it closes. So the lotus closes and goes beneath the water. And at dawn, at sunrise, it reemerges and reopens above the water. And I thought that was such a beautiful metaphor for where we're going with this main theme of reflection and the courage to be who I am inside. Because so much of our lives is overlaid with all of these masks and identities and labels and scripts and stories and truths that we tell ourselves, that our ego, mind, personality tells us in order to feel, air quotes, safe or important or of value. And the irony of it is what's really on offer is who we are inside, our soul self. And when that soul, like the lotus, when that soul reemerges up out of the water, it brings about such beauty and grace and empowerment. And that's what we're working with. And the theme came a few days back, and I heard the song. This is the title, Reflection, Who I Am Inside, the courage to be who I am inside. It comes from the song. It's one of the title track songs from the animated feature film Mulan. And this song is sung by Mulan after she met up with her matchmaker, a disastrous meeting that leads to the matchmaker yelling at her as she flees the pagoda. You will never bring family honor, or you will never bring your family honor. The song is about how she will never be the girl that her family thinks she truly is, the prim, posh, Chinese bride she is supposed to be, but rather a slightly reckless, adventurous girl. When her hair is up, her lips are red with rouge, and she has white face paint on, she looks in the pond and sees her reflection. She knows that the girl she sees is not who she truly is. And so it's this whole message, this very powerful message of being who we truly are. Not who someone wants us to be, not who everyone else needs us to be or wants us to be, but who we are, our true, authentic soul self, and the value of that, the purity of that, the greatness of that. And that's what's on offer, and it's a loud message from the unseen speaking to this, because, of course, and this can be for a woman, a man, a boy, a girl, the lyrics to the song, who is that girl I see? Who is that boy I see staring straight back at me? Why is my reflection someone I don't know? Somehow I cannot hide who I am, though I've tried. When will my reflection show who I am inside? And that's the beauty and the answer to that, when will my reflection show who I am inside? When you become it, when you trust it, when you celebrate it, because your uniqueness is this fractal of the divine. And it's whole and complete and purposeful. It's intended. And that authenticity creates and generates magic and abundance and strength and empowerment. And it builds character and courage. There's so much here. There is so much here. They followed that. The unseen followed that immediately with another song. And it happens to be our mantra. So let me just bring it up. I am what I am. It's a beautiful mantra. You see a lot of the purple heart, the pinks, and the song, I am what I am. It's a mega anthem hit by Gloria Gaynor, and it was track 12, and here we are, number 12, this completeness, wholeness, and divine order, and God's authority and governance over creation. So it's track 12 on the album, It's My Time. Welcome, Colleen. And there's such a beauty in the verse, because this anthem is, sorry, I was just looking at something to bring it all together. So verse 3, or verse 4, pardon me. I am what I am, and what I am needs no excuses. I deal my own deck, sometimes the ace, sometimes the deuces. It's one life, and there's no return and no deposit. One life, so it's time to open up your closet. Life's not worth a damn till you can shout out, I am what I am. And so it's this beautiful anthem of speaking your truth, speaking your power. Yeah, so Olivia's saying, I am that I am is what God said in Genesis. Yes, and this is, I am what I am, and this, my own special creation. It's the soul speaking. It's the soul saying to every single 8 billion souls on the planet, recognize the value of your uniqueness, of your center, of your soul. We're moving in the Aquarian age, this matriarchal era. And it is all about recognizing who we are inside and having the courage and the faith and the trust to explore that, to harness the divine neutrality, the empowerment of that, instead of all of these falsehoods, that these layers that have been placed, or we have placed upon ourselves over the course of this ego mind personality, patriarchal Piscean era. Again, we want a healthy ego mind personality, but not at the expense of our authenticity, of our true nature, our inner nature. There's massive, massive power to that. Want to move just quickly into the astrological influences, because as the theme for these energies, and we are between the Mars retrograde and the Neptune stationing direct, that occurred just a few days ago, and then upcoming on Sunday is the full moon and Mercury stationing direct. So we have, again, these massive energies that are playing out. And number 2 from the unseen is the courage to be. And the courage to be, and then they said, make light of it. Be. And so, again, the unseen is shouting at us to become comfortable. And not only comfortable, but, in a state of enjoyment and bliss and excitement and everything with who you are inside. Because there's a famous actor, and I'm forgetting, who said, it's a quote that said, in essence, I think it's Peter Dinklage, who said, once you accept all of your own faults, your shadows, they can't be used against you. Well, it's the same thing. Once we accept who we are, who we truly are, and we live that life, you can't be attacked. It can't be weaponized and used against you, because you're finally speaking your truth. You're living your truth, and you're good with it, and you're celebrating it, and you're recognizing its value, its purpose, and what your soul came to do. Olivia is saying there is no one anywhere or at any time is exactly like each of us. Exactly. Each is an individual, just like a snowflake. Each of us is 8 billion souls, are unique fractals. Even twins, identical twins, triplets, quadruplets, whatever, multiply the number. Each one of them is unique. They might share DNA and so forth, but their essence, their soul, is a unique fractal of the divine. And it's harnessing that. It's harnessing and leveraging that power, that embodiment, that uniqueness that allows you to shine. And they're saying the courage to be, make light of it, bring it to the light, celebrate it, connect with it, be. Because again, this is like a preamble. I mean, everything from when we started, November 17th, 2021, So we're in our 4th season of Weekly Wisdom and Insights and 4th year and everything. This has been a preamble of getting us ready for what this new era. And that's what we're speaking to. And so to be inauthentic isn't going to work anymore. It's just not. Number 3 from the unseen is perfection personified. And of course, it has to do with the Trinity. And number 3 is the Trinity. So perfection personified, union of 3 in 1. And so we've been talking about let me just bring it up, the Ahura Mazda Lord, and Ahura Mazda means the Lord of Wisdom, and this rotary engine where at the top, the soul source connection, and it moves down to the ego mind personality, EMP, over to the heart, HRT. So these 3, this union of 3 in 1, this perfection personified, it's where the ego mind personality, the soul source connection, and the heart operate as one. They are no longer separate. And thereby, in order to do that, if our true nature, our true identity, our authenticity is being excluded, if our soul is being excluded, if we're burying our heart, if everything is at the cost or the expense that the ego mind personality leads at the expense of the heart and the soul source connection, it's not going to work moving forward. It's going to get harder and harder and harder to not be your authentic self. So there's a whole point of like celebration, come out, whatever that means for you, be your authentic soul self. Lead with it. So now we're going to move in. So with the astrological influences, we're going to work a little bit with the Mars retrograde and the Neptune stationing direct, and a little bit with the full moon in Gemini coming up and Mercury stationing direct, which we will cover more next week, because all of these energies are playing out. But I want to go to Astrology by Lauren, and she's covering Mars retrograde and Neptune direct, and you'll see how this is all interwoven. Lauren states, when Mars stations retrograde on December 6th, our energy, motivation, and will begins to lag. It is not unusual to feel stalled or exhausted at these biennial stations. Sometimes it behooves us to slow down, and that is not the worst of it. The issue with Mars retrograde is that this is when Mars is at its closest point to the Earth, and all of that strong Martian energy, Piscean, patriarchal, Martian energy is being channeled within. And like a hot, festering wound, it cannot and will not be ignored. What we do not want to do is to feed the seething aspects of Mars, to foster it or lay claim to it. This is emptying our vessel. This is not, we've seen in recent headlines where this internal festering and is channeled in a Martian, aggressive, external manner that you can't come back from. You can't undo what's been done. And so Astrology by Lauren, she's speaking to the fact of what we don't want to do is feed these seething aspects of ourselves, these Martian energies, because again, Mars is in perigee, it's closest to the Earth at this point, which means it's going to be amplified and magnified. Astrology by Lauren, she goes on to say, one of the dangers of a retrograde Mars is to internalize the negative attributes of that scalding Mars, such as anger, aggression, and frustration. Keep it in check. If you're triggered, stop and pivot. Do something to release that energy so that it's not scorched earth and it's not something that you can't come back from or recover from. She continues, this only results in resentment and passive aggression. Mars stations at 6 degrees Leo, a sign that can be distorted as arrogance and entitlement, as Mars appears to shift in all his glory. Like a monarch dethroned, or the mighty falling from on high, we could see some of this entitlement reaching a breaking point first with the Mars-Pluto opposition on January 3rd, and then with its opposition to the Sun on January 15th, which is when Mars will be perigee at its closest point to the Earth in its cycle. Both dates will need to be watched closely. The interesting thing is, again, this specifically goes back onto the November 27th show, Crossing the Threshold into a New Tomorrow in Eagle Medicine. It's number 3 and number 4 that the unseen gave us. The presumptive crown cracks, splits, falls off. No longer who you thought it to be. Followed by heavy is the head that wears the crown. And that who then, because it's number 4, who takes the place of that leadership and the weight and the burden of it. And again, we've seen in recent world events, people, autocrats being dethroned. So there's, and like a monarch, it's the monarch butterfly. It's noblesse oblige. Monarchs are supposed to be benevolent to the people, serve the people. This goes for any of us, for corporations, businesses, small business, entrepreneurs, certainly institutions and governments. And when they fail to serve, when they fail to lift up, when they fail the people, like a monarch dethroned or the mighty falling from on high, we could see some of this entitlement reaching a breaking point. The presumptive crown cracks, splits, falls off, no longer who you thought it to be. And those that come in place of, heavy is the head that wears the crown, because they have to navigate all of the anxiety and the anger and the frustration and the pent-up resentments, the fall, as well as the anticipation of the hope. And this is where we must walk with grace, and that is 22, hexagram 22 is grace, which we will get to in a moment. Astrology by Lauren, she goes on, in our personal lives, these retrograde phases of Mars offer us an opportunity to disengage from the pressures of our everyday lives. Instead of taking up arms, we are asked to leave them at the door and not engage in combat. Rather than trying to prove yourself by competing with and besting everyone else, or trying to prove your superiority and prowess over others, you are asked to restore your confidence within. This is about reflection, who I am inside, and the courage to be that. Because see, it's ego, mind, personality. When we're afraid of who we truly are inside, we create these masks, identities, labels, scripts, stories, these personas to make us feel greater than, better than. But that means it's a faulty foundation, and because people can see through it. And then you can be attacked, it can be weaponized and used against you because you're not your true authentic self. Because somehow this that came from source, from God, Allah, Buddha, the all that is, isn't greatness personified, isn't perfection personified. You want to love all of you, not just the parts that you want people to see. Love all of you. And that's a double entendre. Love all of you individually, internally, and love all of you externally. She goes on to say, and then by finding confidence in your own inner power, there is no need to engage in the daily combat of our lives. There's no need to engage shadow. Internally, externally. There's no need to do it. Know that the aggressor rarely wins when Mars is retrograde, and that anger and aggression ricochets. It's kind of that old moral, what you're putting out's already coming back to you tenfold. Therefore, avoid things that will only become more embroiled and frustrating, such as initiating or engaging in unnecessary conflict. She says, like beginning a war, beginning a lawsuit, or declaring martial law. Traditionally, it is also advised to avoid buying new machinery, including cars, especially while Mercury is also retrograde, because Mercury goes direct on the 15th. It's in its post-shadow phase until January 2nd, and thereby, again, contracts, communication, these types of things get a little wonky. Equipment, technology. Lauren goes on to say, the general advice for the retrograde phase of Mars is to not engage hostility or adversarial conditions. Rather, develop the positive attributes of Mars, such as courage, even in the face of adversity, independence, even in the face of coercion, of strength and conviction, even in the face of turmoil. And with this, we have these numbers 12, 11, 8, and 22. And what they represent. We have the lotus, the symbol of the sun. There's massive power available to us. And power meaning empowerment. So that we harness Martian energies, these Mars energies, in their light for our betterment, individually, collectively. In this way, you become so secure in your own power and authority that you merely bend instead of break under pressure. These are also the qualities that heroes are made of. This is when we are asked to connect with our why, to connect with our true motives. But we cannot do this if we are holding on to anger and resentment. We cannot restore our energy and strength when we waste all of it engaging in conflict. And so you can see how these are so intricately tied, this Mars stationing retrograde, with reflection, the courage to be who I am inside. It's letting go of all of these false identities and just standing in the beauty and the empowerment of your sovereignty, your soul self. Lauren goes on to talk about Neptune stations direct. During the months that Neptune has been in its retrograde phase, we have been asked to connect with our own inner Neptune, our ideals, our dreams, our hopes for a better world. We were being asked to feed our psyche, to connect with our spiritual nature, to listen to our dreams and cultivate the higher expressions of Neptune, such as compassion, altruism, and our own inner knowing. This is directly related to the main theme from the unseen. Reflection, who I am inside. And it is about coming to terms with that and celebrating it. And now that Neptune is stationing and ending its retrograde phase on December 7th, we are being asked to take the essence of that inner knowing and put it into application in our everyday lives. See, it's not just about recognizing it and quietly saying, okay, yes, I'm good with who I am inside. No, it's about aligning that with truth and action and deed. And it requires courage. They're showing me, the unseen is showing me the cowardly lion in The Wizard of Oz. I mean, look at all the characters. They needed a brain. They needed a heart, courage. They needed faith and trust, belief. And that's number 4 from the unseen this week. Believe. And then I heard the song by R. Kelly, I Believe I Can Fly. I Believe I Can Touch the Sky. It's about belief. And it's about having the courage to walk that golden path, that road that brings all of this. It's like marinating all of these energies, these beautiful energies, so that what comes out the other side is the true you, the most pure, authentic you. And if someone else, if that's not resonating and working for someone else, that's a them problem, not a you problem. Because people will always want to hang on to who you were, or who they want you to be, or need you to be. But that means then, see, you're being held hostage. You're being held back, held down. As opposed to, namaste, I bow to the divine in you. I recognize and see who I am inside. And that's the path and the life that I am going to not only live, but thrive in, excel in. That's where your greatness lies. Astrology by Lauren. She goes on to say, it is true that distortions are inevitable when we try to translate our ideals on to the material plane. Neptune is not of this world. And as such, instead of ideals and dreams, we reap nightmares, uncertainty, and delusion. Neptune can drive us to madness with despair and disillusionment. but Neptune can also carry us aloft to the land of the fairies, as well as the Olympian towers of the gods. I believe I can fly, I believe I can touch the sky. And when we center ourselves in our own inner Neptune, when we have the capacity to channel the gods through us, it can be a magical, beautiful, and wistfully divine experience because we're aligned. We're in alignment with our soul source connection, with our true nature, our truest identity. If Neptune were to desire anything for us, it would be to find deeper meaning and purpose even in the mundane corners of our lives. Neptune aims to break down the barriers that distort our vision and make it appear as if we are separate and divided from one another, so that we can see that we are part of something much greater than ourselves. 8 billion fractals of the divine. Neptune in application is compassion in action. It inspires us to fulfill the behests of our soul and consciousness. The soul. It inspires us to fulfill the behests of our soul. Not our ego, mind, personality, but what our soul came here to do. And in that is our greatness. Anything less than that, we are diminished. And we are vulnerable to attack. It identifies with some sort of service or cause that feels much larger than ourselves. And Neptune dares us to invest our lives with wonder and enchantment. This is not about playing it small. This is about go big or go home. This is about, because it identifies with service. What did our soul come to do? We are all in service to one another. Businesses, corporations, institutions, governments are supposed to be in service too. When you fail to service the people, the goodness, the needs of humanity, you collapse, you fall. Societies collapse and fall because it's so inauthentic. This is true of our individual lives. When we're living a lie or we're being inauthentic, at some point it collapses and crumbles. And, it's the cosmic 2x4. We get the warning signs, we have the knowings, we know. It gets louder and louder and louder until the universe just says, the unseen says, okay. Wham! And they just knock you with that cosmic 2x4. It is not something I recommend. Heed the knowings, the calls, and just walk through the fire. Once you do, and you're on the other side, you will literally have moments. This is personal experience as well with clients and everything, myself. You will have that moment where you look back and say, what took you so long? Why did you wait? Why did you hesitate? But the minute you get through it, you get through all the fear. You'll see that coming up in rabbit medicine. It's a phoenix reborn. You get to the other side. Lauren concludes, when we touch that Neptune part of ourselves, it's that feeling you get when you see the magnificence of a perfect sunrise, or when you immerse yourself in the beauty and profundity of nature, or stop to wonder at the mysteries of the earth. Neptune is that experience you have when you do a good deed, say a kind word, or come to realize the ways that we are all so deeply connected to one another on these subtle but very real levels. This is the stuff of which magic is made, and we need much more of that in our lives right now. This is what the unseen is screaming loudly. While it may look like doom and gloom and destruction and chaos and distortions and everything, it's because the old order, the old paradigm, the old age is ending. It's collapsing. Yet simultaneously, the unseen is reaching out to us, bellowing, yelling, saying, go this way. Here's the new. It's over here. And in the new, reflection. Have the courage to be who you are inside. I am what I am. And to celebrate it, to lay down your burdens and move through because the faster you get there, the more liberated, the more, I mean, it's like I just took this massive breath. You didn't see it, but like it's just this exhaling of joy and excitement because that's what's on offer. And again, these 12, 11, 8, 22, these powerful numbers, the lotus, all of this is conspiring on our behalf. The unseen is guiding us towards it. Now we're going to move to hexagram 22, which is grace. It's also known as adorning. Its action is accept, and this is from Carrie Hone at cafeosoul.com. And it begins, the master said, untangle the knots and soften the glare. This means when you stalk life with a scowl expecting difficulty, you will find it. When meeting oppression, we had the opportunity to learn to adapt or make changes to better fit in with the changes around us. But now it is time to connect with your inner source of light, your authentic self, who you are inside. Grace is an attitude of acceptance that radiates outwardly as joy, regardless of what is unfolding around you. Anxiety and constant worry can make you unattractive both inside and out. See, when you're vulnerable to attack, when you're not loving who you are and celebrating every aspect, because remember, everything in life from the soul perspective and divine perspective, it is being created, co-created for you, for us. And so it is to pierce through the illusion and dig below the surface to see the beauty and the divinity of what your soul came here to accomplish. How does it serve you? How does it serve others? Because otherwise you're staying at the surface, you're in anxiety and all of this, and it's wasteful energy. So you don't have to stay in that because anxiety and constant worry can be unattractive, is unattractive. Carrie Hone goes on to say, you can cover yourself with nice clothes and possessions. But if the scowl remains, you remain unattractive. And see this when we cover ourselves, masks, identities, labels, houses, cars, jewelry, all of these, fixings and appliques. But you're still who you are inside until you change it. Those have no relevance. They are like, they just dissipate because it's built on a faulty foundation. The hidden influence of liberation from worry is at the heart of Taoism, because when you are following life on its terms with an accepting attitude, you will discover more and lose less. This is all about soul source alignment. When we're aligned with our soul and we lead with it and we follow it, we discover more and we lose less. The greatest lesson grace teaches you is that no amount of outward adorning will ever conceal what is going on inside of you. This is just the truth. So it doesn't matter your status, your position, your wealth. You are who you are inside. Once you come to adorn and value that, adorn meaning not to cover it up, but to reveal it, to celebrate it, there is a limitless empowerment available to you. And that, thus, there's no amount of concealing that will conceal what's going on inside of you. When you want to attract others to you, begin within. Loving the self makes one loving. Accepting the way makes one accepting. When you have no preconceived expectations, you will open to the beauty of grace. Brilliant inner beauty is like a magnet that others cannot resist. If circumstances are less than favorable, turn within and release the expectations that are making your outlook hardened. Because this is where we've talked about this, where there's a discernment about, is it my ego mind personality that's frustrated, upset, disappointed, wanting something, and your soul is over here going, are you done? Because we're good. That's an illusion. Now, just go down here or take this next step. And all of a sudden, when you release that, you shift. So it becomes a magnet to others. Inner light, inner beauty, authenticity. And again, yes, there will be those that test us, challenge us, demonstrate, reflect their fear, but that's theirs. It's not ours to accept and walk with and carry. It's theirs. Take a breath and return to the moment. You may have the opportunity for grace to shine down upon you where your wish is granted. We come to our first quote. And this beautiful open what is closed. And note that the image is of this beautiful purple, pink, shimmering water. Water denotes, living waters denotes our internal life force, our internal essence, and it has to do with our intuition and our emotions. But it's inner knowing. So open what is closed. Carrie Hone goes on to say, fire at the foot of the mountain, the image of grace. Seasons can change gracefully or destructively. Either way, nature's behavior cannot be classified in terms of good or bad. In the image of how things are valued, and this is our second quote, the master said, the way is benevolent and excels on bestowing. And again, you see these beautiful, at the very top of the halls of Amenti pyramid, it's pink. It's all this purple and pink are the top tiers of consciousness. And in this image, you see this beautiful shimmering gold path. So like the Wizard of Oz, the yellow brick road, this golden path. The way is benevolent and excels on bestowing. Through wildfires, nature accomplishes new growth by removing old growth. This is emptying the vessel. Although you may put labels of value on experience, you sometimes cannot see how, quote, good fortune perches on apparent disaster. So as we see things crumbling and collapsing, we can see, or maybe cannot see, how good fortune perches on apparent disaster. Because what's on the other side? A raging fire. Alicia mentioned a fire in Malibu. Well, as devastating as that can be, apparent disaster, the rebirth, the regrowth, the renewal that does stem from it from a nature standpoint, good fortune perches on apparent disaster. And that is true of us when we let go of all of this ego, mind, personality, masks, identities, labels, fears that are keeping us held down. Fear that we won't have enough. Fear that we need more. Or the Martian aggression of, I need more. I demand more. That's disharmonic. It's out of sync with your authentic self. And it's out of sync with nature, with harmony. And thus it collapses. The crown falls off. It splits. It cracks. So now we're going to move into rabbit medicine. And first I want to just go to, because it's our main theme, but it's also our key word, reflection. An instance of reflecting, especially the return of light or sound waves from a surface. The production of an image by or as if by a mirror. What you see in the mirror. Things that bounce back at you like light waves, sound waves, even your thoughts. Serious thought or consideration. So this reflection, the power of reflection, the power of recognizing that our thoughts, our words, are reflection. They're reflecting who we are inside or how we feel in the moment. The more you come into your authentic soul self state of being, the courage to be, make light of it, be, the greater your natural peace, enthusiasm, joy, empowerment. You just have to be willing to walk the talk. Be willing to walk the golden path, the way. Anything less than that, it's ego, mind, personality. And it's there sheltering your and you believe that it's a solid foundation, and you buy into all of this hype, all of these masks, but people can see right through them. And that's when it's weaponized and used against you, against us. So the more authentic we are denotes the more pure we are. The more pure we are, the more empowered we are. And no sense of force is going to overcome that, because their aggression, their force, their air quotes strength is anything but strength. It's false. It's like the fake Oz behind the curtain, or the emperor has no clothes. It's all of these analogies. Okay, so now we're connecting all the dots to rabbit medicine, and this is from Jess Hagen, urbanhealersofla.com. The collective archetype found in the symbol of the rabbit around the world is as diverse as all the world's cultures. The meaning of rabbit can range from brave to cowardly, lucky to tricky, abundant to victim, depending on your ethnic background. This diversity of meaning illustrates the underlying spiritual nature of rabbit medicine as highly interpretive and adaptable. Interpretive, listening. Soul source connection. I mean, it is listening, it's interpretive, and then adapting, going as guided. Erratic and unpredictable, this animal warrior leaps at life with humble pride and teaches the difference between caution and fear, movement and stillness, and the snares of jumping to conclusions too quickly. Martian energy. Rabbit also shows us how to enjoy the meadow and the day despite the dangers circling all around. She has learned how to live with lots of stress and to bear the strain of enemies always nearby. She chooses, it's a choice, she chooses a peaceful life for herself despite being hunted by many. Her lessons dwell in the realm of bravery. Rabbit knows that courage is fear walking. We cannot expect ourselves to not feel fear. Only fools live in such disconnect from reality. And remember, everything is energy. Fear is energy. Love is energy. Hope is energy. All of these words that we use, they're energy. Harness the energy of fear for you, because it will do one of two things. It'll be the catalyst to propel you forward, to leap you forward, or it will immobilize you. Well, you don't want to be roadkill. You don't want to have fear immobilize you. And yet all you have to do, as John F. Kennedy, again, we said this, I think, in last week's show, there's nothing to fear but fear itself. What we're fearing is energy, known as fear. We'll transmute it. Recognize that it's there on your behalf to work with you to catapult you forward. It's a catalyst. Allow it to be that. Jess goes on to say, but when we can learn how to not let our fears overpower us and shut us down, we can proceed with what we feel is right while bearing the burden of fear with us. Rabbit asks you to shake out of that frozen, fearful state and find your power to jump. See, it's that catalyst. It's like, okay, I know to do this. I'm fearful. I'm nervous. I got to walk through the fire. It's that analogy. But when you get to the other side, when you've leapt through it, it gives you the power to jump. It's the catalyst that moves you forward. Just goes on to say, moving in zigzag tactics to dodge the slings and arrows of life. There is no direct path to a goal when working with rabbit medicine. Progress is often felt in unpredictable leaps and bounds, but the movement is deliberate and never wavers in indecision. This is Rise of the Guardians. What's at your center? Who am I on the inside? Who's my reflection? Who am I truly? And that's not up for, there's no indecision in that. And it's not, you're not going to barter, beg, and steal it away and so forth. You come into alignment and harmony with it, empowerment with it. Rabbit did not develop much exterior structural protection. He or she lives in extreme sensitivity and full exposure to the pleasures and pains of every day. See, this is about when you are your authentic self. Here, I am what I am. Here it is. And thus, there's empowerment in that. And it's okay. It doesn't matter because somebody can be ugly, but it holds no power. Water off a duck's back. Maybe duck is the next medicine. We'll see. So rabbit lives in extreme sensitivity and full exposure to the pleasures and pains of every day. This vegetarian is born with their eyes wide open and can fend for themselves within minutes of arrival onto Earth. Their beacon-like ears can follow a sound, pivoting without the bother of using their entire body, allowing for simultaneous relaxation and caution. Rabbit is a valiant jumper, but within an instant can shift from motion into a stillness so complete it seems to bring them to the edge of non-existence. There's great versatility here. There's great fluidity, adaptability. When your foundation is your center, your reflection, who I am inside, nothing phases you. Nothing externally or internally, ego, mind, personality, knocks you off your game. It's impenetrable because you know the strength and the purity and the truth of it. Jess goes on to say, the rabbit spirit animal totem makes no assumptions about the outcome of an event based on past experience. Every moment is new and is evaluated independently of the previous moment. It's that beautiful statement from the unseen where they said, allow your life experiences to refine you, not define you. This is the same with rabbit medicine. It's about taking each moment. Every moment is new and evaluated independently. It's not based on prior experience where we close down and the masks come on and we create all of these false protections or safeties. We're just living in our oneness. You know, it's naked, you know, standing on an 8-lane highway with all the high beams on and being like, yeah, I am what I am. Here I am. There's power in that. There's greatness in that. Every moment is new and is evaluated independently. This way of life is an investigation into the mechanics of fear and teaches the differences between fear and caution. Fear destroys one's ability to enjoy the day. When it immobilizes, when you allow it to immobilize you, it destroys you. When you harness the power and the energy of fear as a catalyst to propel you, to move you forward, it's a game changer. Caution is a practical awareness of the potential danger that allows us to live life to the fullest. When trouble emerges, rabbit takes action. When trouble is gone, rabbit returns all of their attention to the beauty of the field around them. They are a master of mental efficiency and shows us the skills of living with intense honesty to the present moment and not allowing our preconceived notions to cloud reality on the ground. It's just living in a pure state of bliss, of being. Running from what we are afraid of puts us on the run. Living in a chase dynamic will only lead to eventual capture. See, this is again, if you're trying to outrun who you are, if you're trying to heap all this stuff onto you to keep people from seeing who you truly are, first of all, you're missing out. And you're missing out on your greatness. You're missing out on a life of immense possibility. And instead, you're trading it in for capture, eventual capture. Because the minute you release whatever it is that you're running from, hiding from, it's it's gone. The power of it is gone. It's transmuted. And all of a sudden you stand there in your authenticity, in your truth. And you recognize, maybe for the first time, how truly powerful you are. But that's not an ego, mind, personality construct. That's a soul truth. That's soul essence. That's soul being. Jess goes on to say, you cannot outrun your fears. It is best to admit them in all their uncomfortable ugliness. Your fears are always worse than reality because fear dwells in the limitless realm of the imagination. Reality is always much less dramatic and much easier to handle. So once you get on the other side of the fire, you look back and say, what took you so long? That's what we're talking about. The phenomenon of fear derives from our mental ability to remember past pain and anticipate future pain, neither of which are occurring now. Mental anguish can only survive in memory or imagination. Rabbit survives by balancing the knowledge of potential threats with the reality of what is happening in the moment, in the now. True warriors have learned how to live simultaneous with the paralysis of the unknown and to move through that darkness with fear, meaning despite fear, allowing fear to be but not allowing it to stop the quest of seeking. It's real. It's an energy. It's present. We all deal with it. It's in Rise of the Guardians. It's where the little kid Jamie says to Pitch Black, the boogeyman, it's not that you don't exist. I'm just not afraid of you. That took away Pitch Black's, the boogeyman's power. Here you are bearing down on me, this little kid, and he's like, it's not that you don't exist, you do. It's not that fear doesn't exist, it does. But he transmuted that fear, he allowed it to catapult him forward by harnessing it as a catalyst, because he said, but I'm just not afraid of you. It's a game changer. And that allowed, in the Rise of the Guardians, all the lights of hope and belief and love and goodness and peace to come back on around the globe. It's the same thing. This is about true warriors move through that darkness with fear, meaning despite fear, allowing fear to be, but not allowing it to stop the quest of seeking. You cannot cloak fear, and you cannot expect to rid yourself of it. True learning can only happen when we drop our guard and yield to the unknown. Rabbit and the soul, your true identity, reflection, who I am inside, that is yielding soul source connection. That is yielding to the unknown, meaning it's not physically something tangible we can see or touch, but it is absolutely something we know. We know. Our intuition speaks, our soul guides. It knows, and it is pure and it is true north. Why wouldn't we want to live life and lead our lives with that at the forefront? Defies logic to do anything other than that. True learning can only happen when we drop our guard and yield to the unknown. Rabbit takes no armor into battle save tooth, claw, and a will to live. Their bravery perfected, and their tribe thrives with unexpected strategies. Because again, the unseen, your soul, the all that is, they can see everything. They know everything. It knows everything. The ego, mind, personality, it's all in the what happened before, and I'm going to try to prevent it from happening again. And instead of just being in the peace of the now. Olivia's saying, we only have the now. Exactly. We only have the now. What are we doing with it? That is why this is such a powerful moment, but it's a powerful theme. Because in that, we have this opportunity to connect to our authentic selves. And with the astrological influence, the unseen, they were talking about the calm before the storm. The storm meaning activity, this flurry of activity. this rapid acceleration that is upon us and will be playing out well into the future, but well through the end of April of 2025. So again, the more we come into alignment with our true self, our soul self, the absolute opportunity for empowerment, because the challenges, all this stuff, they're opportunities. This is where we're standing, and we're standing in this beautiful moment where the soul speaks. It may be the theme for next week's show, the soul speaks, because that's what all of this in a nutshell is speaking to. It is harnessing the power of your soul, of your authentic true nature, to rise above and to release, to empty your vessel, to purge, cleanse, so that at the end of the day, as we rise up to greet and meet, there's the beautiful lotus rising up through the water at dawn. It's to greet that new energy, that new era, that matriarchal, Aquarian, we the people in service to soul. And how when we are in service to the soul, and 8 billion souls are collectively in service to the soul, can you imagine the world that we live in, that we would live in? It's not airy-fairy. It's not idealism. It's truth. We've gone the way of the ego, mind, personality. Now we make room. And it's just like the parting of the sea, or when somebody of great stature and presence and prominence enters and the crowd parts. That's the image the unseen is showing me, because it's soul time. That's where we find ourselves today. So thank you all so very much for your presence on this journey. You make it magical and incredible every single week. And I'm just thrilled that we're in our 4th year on this journey to see where the unseen guides us. So until next week, be well, be kind, and recognize your reflection and the courage to be who you are inside. Love you all. See you next week.